Okay, again, we're on the line that begins with ve-hagum, but now we're going straight to the end of that line. And to say that the oil is mislabish, mamosh, indicated, to the extent that it becomes like the keli, in the sense that its function is based on what the keli is. Yet, it does not intrinsically transform into the mahus of the keli. This principle, mahus of the keli, we spent a lot of time to identify what is meant by mahus of the keli. That even though functionally it accommodates the keli, recognizes the keli, but from a different perspective completely. And as the Pardes writes, Hamoshol, the moshel for this, from Mayim Hashem Mishtani Megaven Hakeli, water that changed Legaven Hakeli to the color of the keli. Meaning, if you have a keli, let's say a transparent keli, a glass keli, and the keli has a certain color, blue or red or whatever it is, and you put water into that keli, so the water will appear to be the color of the keli. So this is the part, the motion the Pardes gives. Harein hagavon nikna bohem. The kavon, the color that is produced, that is shown through the keli, in the color through which, in which the water is shown to the keli, does not really get imbued in the water itself. And the gavan is not acquired by the waters. Liyesh mishtani mamosh, that they should actually become changed to that color. Shaharei heim begvanon haposhut be'etzem. Because in fact the waters remain in their neutral color, the way they are in essence. Except that they are seen with the color, in the color of the keli. In other words, on this functional level, where you see the water, there you see it in the color of the keli. And there's a certain interrelationship, there's a certain enhancement, so to speak, in the color, in the keli, in the color of the keli, by the fact that there is the water in there. The water kind of enriches the appearance of the keli, of the redness of the keli, of the color of the keli, but it doesn't actually acquire that color. It relates to it, but it doesn't acquire it.
It relates to it in the sense that it actually changes, that you can see it in a different color. How does it relate to it?
Right. It relates to it because you can see it in a different color. And it actually, as I said, it shows that color, it enriches that color. It's not just a flat color. There's a liquid background to it. It goes through and through. But the water itself does not become like the gavan. It does not acquire that gavan. Usually we cannot actually understand the significance of this mashal. We have to expand a little bit on this mashal, that this keli that has a collar, this collar in the keli is an inherent color. Let's say you have a glass that is inherently of that color, not a color that you added to the glass, but a color that is through and through that glass. Then when you put water in it, so then that color is pure in the water. And it is not merely because in this glass there is this admixture of color, so it does not allow the neutral color of the water to come through. This is not an admixture. This is an inherent color of the keli. This is the keli. The water is in the keli. And the reason that it looks like the color of the keli, again, is not because it kind of hides its neutral color, but because water and a keli, they fit very well together. The only way to get water is through a keli. Now again, this keli has this natural color. Therefore the water fit into this keli naturally. It is not relating two unrelated things, the water and the keli and the color. And this is why the color of the keli, the way it appears to the water, appears to be so purely natural. Because there's a natural affinity between all these three things. In other words, I'm trying to explain that in this mashal, normally we say, oh, this is just a fictitious appearance. It's not. Because, as I said, the water belongs in the keli, and the keli has this color as a natural phenomenon. And that's why when you see it, you don't see it as something superimposed. You see it as a natural phenomenon. And yet, the color is not acquired, imbued into the water. A nikna. Nikna means acquired into the water. Except that nirim begavna keli. Again, we have to understand the implication. They appear like the gavna keli. Appearance is like a false perception. They appear like this government, but you're mistaken. So if you're mistaken, what's the big deal? Of course, it's not real. You're making a mistake. It looks real like this, and really it's something else. So this is a more fine element in this, which is important to understand Bichlal in all mashalim like this. The mashal is such simple. Water, the appearance of water is part of the reality of water. The fact that the water appears colored is not some kind of a superimposed unnatural phenomenon in the water. This is what we're saying. Even though the water in essence remain in their natural state, which is colorless, yet on their functional level, which is in their appearance, this is part of the function of water. You can't drink water that you can't see. And on their functional level, they acquire that perception, which is imbued upon them from the Keli. Go ahead.
It's a very Magushan question, but we're talking the much of the appearance of the water. Is this the water even looking directly at the water, as only as you look through the Keli?
Well, when the water is in the Keli, they will, if you look directly at the water, will also appear in the color of the Keli.
It will.
Sure.
See fancy mikvahs that they design.
Huh?
In fancy mikvahs that they put like the very light blue on the floor, it makes the water look brilliant.
The reason that even if you look directly at the water, they'll look colored. They'll be colored because the reason you see the water is not because of the water, because of the light that shines upon this cave. The light goes through the walls of the cave, and it shines it in a color way, and this is through this color. This is how the water appears.
The significance of the appearance of the water having function. It doesn't seem like, it seems like you could drink water that you don't see. A blind person can drink water.
A blind person, but you can't drink it that's invisible. A blind person doesn't see. He can walk without seeing, but he can't walk through the table and ignore its presence. So the significance of this is, as we've been discussing the whole time, is that the color of the water as it appears through the glass has a certain effect on the person. It gives a certain richness, as I said, to the water. But it's not real. It's only an appearance. So we're saying, no, it is real. On the functional level, it is real. Which means that when the oil is mislabish in the keli, it gives out the function according to what the keli can bring about. It totally eludes us. Or eludes us. I mean, the best way to illustrate the point is when you talk about a loaf of bread. A loaf of bread and a slice of bread are identical. But they are totally different phenomena. A slice of bread, a loaf of bread, is bread in the bakery. It's nothing to do with your function of eating. A slice of bread is a serving of bread for the human being to consume. And we see halachically, and we see even on a human level, there's a great significance between in this difference. We say that a person eats directly from the loaf, he's eating kosher bread, healthy food. But he's not a human being at that point. A similar thing is in this appearance of the water. Who identifies, who relates to this difference in colors? This is something which relates to the human eye. The appearance is only significant to one who identifies with it, who is selective unto how food looks to how the water looks to him, and it makes a difference. And there the water is presenting him with this pleasant view or unpleasant view. That is a functional Ayin that relates to the human being. To step back a moment, to give us a little background for this. This is certainly not the way we think in the world. In the world, Bichlal, as we discussed yesterday, we talked about the sun rising. I thought afterwards I should really present it from a different angle. When the sun is up in the horizon and it shows itself, there are many different factors, effects of the sun being there. You could see the sun. It gives off whatever it is, and it also gives light. And it rises and it descends. What is the finest, what is the most significant aspect that the sun provides with this rise? Light. This is the most significant part of it. Because of the intangibility of light, we tend to ignore and say the light comes as a byproduct by itself, not intended. The intention is that it should be this ball of fire. Here is where we have to focus and understand. The light, this is the real godly creation. As it says in the first one, this is to counter the darkness of the world. This is to bring light into the world. This is the real creation. This is what makes the world into a real world. But because of its intangibility, we tend to say, oh, then this is something which is a byproduct. Going back to an extremely simple illustration of the principle, like we said, when you drive a car and you go all around all the contours and you negotiate all the terrain and so forth, the car is with you. Wonderful machine. Then you reach the destination. the car's purpose disappears. The car's functionality disappears. It's not a participant in your being in destination. This is only meaningful to you. The car has no relationship to that phenomenon. It has a relationship to getting there, but not to being there. Therefore, we say that the car is not meant to bring you to a destination. It's meant just to drive. And as a result of that, we say, hey, the car going in circles. That's what the car is. You follow what I'm saying? The function of the car is to take you around in circles. So we say, no. The original concept of the car came in order to get you to your destination. The car does not create a destination. The car gets you there. Destination is something which is the reality in the world. To this, the car has no connection. So when we talk about the oil mislabish in a keli, we must not, so to speak, lose sight of what the oil is about. Do I have you with me?
I think so.
The car moves. What is the meaning of that? To move.
To get you to a place.
To get to a place. The car has no idea of that. The destination element is an intangible element. But that's the reality for which it was created.
Can you connect this to the muscle we're learning about the color of the water?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The color of the water, the effect of it is only unto the human being.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a tangible element in this.
Mm.
But it's significant is for the human being, and that is what the whole thing is all about.
And that's the part that's not nikna in the
Not nikna. This is what it's all about.
Can you repeat that again?
The significance of color. What is it?
Going to the human being.
Who that's only the human being. There's no significance to the water or to anything else.
But that's the real significance.
But that's the real thing. Why? Because the human being is the real thing. We said many times, the world without the human being, what would it be? No human being. Everything there, all the colors, all the wild, everything there. What would it be? That's what the Rebbe said. I'm going to create a human being to whom all of these things will have significance. And he will raise the world to a significant platform. Will give it a real presence. Day will be day, night will be night. White will be white, green will be green. Everything else with it.
You could go so far to say that the color of the water is the main thing of the water?
The color is not the main thing of the water. The appearance of the color is the main thing of the color. Water is water. The color has different functions. Like this, the color of the glass, the appearance of the color as it affects a human being. That's the main thing of the color.
How the human
Not of the
being will
water,
be,
color.
will what it will evoke in the human being, right? This is
That's right.
Not of the water,
Not of
because the water is the orb.
Right. Well, The oil is established in the color. The color is how the water is presented to the human being. And that is a very important part of this whole thing. I know it's kind of counterintuitive.
So you're saying that the oil is the
One
human
second,
element.
one second. It's counterintuitive. That's why I read it on this, because the time is very short. I'm not trying to interrupt you. Remember, the last thing that God created was a human being. The very last thing. And to this human being he said, you rule the world. How do I come to rule the world? The world is already functioning and running around. And the answer is, without you, there's no function, there's no significance in anything that's happening. It's like a country without a melech and a human being without a head. Everything is there. There's nothing there. Like I said before, okay, this is a very, very clear illustration. A loaf of bread. What's missing? In today's world, we don't know what's different. But if you
Big sandwich.
big sandwich, right? But we know that the way God created human being and meant him to live, and gave him the spirit to live, we know a loaf of bread is just not meant for the human being to eat. But the world was created for the human being. Therefore, a slice of bread, that's a real thing. It's not a secondary level. The loaf of bread, the initial kneading of the dough and the baking and creating the loaf is all culminated. Reaches its pinnacle when you make a slice. That's when it becomes a real thing. Does that make sense?
Why do you make
That's
a
the
bracha
reality.
when it's
What?
whole? Why do you make a bracha when it's whole?
No, you don't make a bracha. A bracha does look over, but you make a mark. You make a mark to show where it becomes going to become food. Because to make a bracha on the whole is more becovered, but you're not making on the whole. You're making a mark, so that yes, this is going to be sliced right here. This is it. Have a great day. Enjoy your bread.
My friend was building a mikvah, and there's like a consultant that he hired that really is an expert, and the color of the walls of the mikvah is all designed to evoke a certain sense in the woman that's coming in.
Purity, yeah.
It's very.